The sky changed on a Tuesday. No one expected it. Not the scientists watching from telescopes in Chile, not the military pilots flying over Alaska, not even the people walking to work or school across the world. It started with something small, a bright dot in the night sky, moving too slow to be a satellite, too fast to be a star. Within hours, more appeared, dozens, then hundreds. By morning, they weren't dots anymore. They were ships, massive, dark, and silent. They hovered above Earth like shadows cast by no sun. Governments scrambled. News spread fast. Some called it a hoax at first. Others thought it was a new weapon test from some rival nation. But when the largest ship, longer than a city, came to a stop directly over New York, everyone knew this was real. Aliens had come, and they weren't hiding. Across the planet, people stared up at the sky. Phones recorded, cameras clicked, children pointed, adults whispered, "What do we do? What do they want?" In Antarctica, Lana Harper watched from the window of her research station. She was a linguist, not a soldier, not a scientist. She studied languages, old ones mostly, forgotten ones. She had been sent south months ago to help translate old records found in a frozen cave. Now she wasn't sure what to think. "Did you see this?" asked Paul, the station's engineer. He stood behind her, holding a coffee cup that read, "I survived winter in hell." "Can't miss it," Lana said quietly. "You think they're friendly?" "If they wanted to be friendly, they'd land, somewhere less scary." Paul nodded. On the other side of the world, Derek Moore sat in his truck parked near a desert road in Nevada. He used to be in the Marines. Now he worked as a security guard for a private tech company. Nothing exciting, just patrols and paperwork, but today there was no paperwork, just orders. His radio buzzed. "All units report to Sector 7 immediately. Repeat, all units to Sector 7. Alien contact confirmed. Prepare for emergency mobilization." He stared at the sky. The same sky he'd looked at every day of his life. Now it held something else. Something big. He turned the key in the ignition. In Colorado, Elliot Ramirez stared at his computer screen. He was a satellite engineer working from home after a bad flu season left him stuck indoors. He had been tracking strange signals for days, energy pulses coming from space, repeating every few minutes. He thought it was interference at first. Then he saw the ships. He typed fast, sending messages to his boss, to NASA, to anyone who might. "Listen, we're not alone." Back in New York, the world watched as a single platform dropped from the largest ship. It moved down slowly, silently, landing in Central Park. A message followed, broadcast in perfect English. "We are the Xerac Ascendancy. We offer unity. Submit, and you will be protected. Resist, and you will be absorbed. Submit or be absorbed." Those were the only choices. Within hours, meetings began. World leaders gathered in Geneva. They argued. They debated. They tried to decide if this was a threat or an opportunity. Some nations wanted to fight. Others wanted peace. None of them had any idea what they were dealing with. Lana was called to Geneva herself. The unneeded experts in language and meaning, in how words could be used to hide truth or reveal it. She didn't feel ready. But the world was changing, and she was being pulled into it. Derek arrived at Sector 7 to find soldiers everywhere. Tanks lined the roads. Jets flew overhead. Men and women ran between buildings, shouting orders, checking weapons. He wasn't given much time to ask questions, just told to stand by. Elliot kept working from home, but now his emails were answered instantly. People wanted data. They wanted proof. They wanted to know if the aliens could be beaten. He didn't have answers yet, but he was looking. As night fell, the world stayed awake. Television showed the alien ships hovering above major cities. Social media filled with theories, fears, prayers, and deep in space more ships waited, silent, watching, not moving. Yet, the meeting in Geneva started with silence. Not the kind that comes before a speech or during a moment of thought, but the heavy, uncomfortable kind. the kind that made people shift in their seats and glance at each other like they were waiting for someone to say what everyone was thinking. The Xeric delegation stood at the far end of the room. Tall, pale, with glowing blue lines running under their skin like rivers of light. Their eyes didn't blink. Their mouths didn't move when they spoke. Instead, their voices came through small devices on their necks, translated perfectly into every language spoken on Earth. "Your species has been observed," one of them said. "You are chaotic, violent, but you show potential." A diplomat from France stepped forward. He wore a suit and tried to look calm, even though his hands shook slightly. "We welcome peaceful contact," he said, "but we are not ready to surrender our sovereignty." The Xeric tilted its head slightly like it had just heard something strange. "We do not ask for surrender," it said. "We offer unification, protection, evolution." The room stayed quiet again. Lana sat near the back taking notes. She wasn't supposed to speak unless asked, but her mind raced. She had studied languages for years and she knew how much could be hidden in a single word. The Xeric used words like unify and evolve, but she couldn't find any meaning behind them that sounded good. She watched the aliens carefully. They moved slowly, almost too smoothly, like machines pretending to be alive. Outside, the world waited. In Nevada, Derek paced outside the base camp. He hadn't been allowed inside, the main building where the high-ranking officers met. He was just a contractor now, not a soldier, and no one trusted him with real information. But he saw things. He saw the way the soldiers looked at the sky, not with fear, but confusion, like they weren't sure if they were looking at enemies or gods. On his phone, he read the news. First contact successful. Talks ongoing. Successful? He didn't know about that. Back in Colorado, Elliot stared at his screen, watching live footage from Geneva. He kept rewinding the Xerac's message, trying to pick apart the signal. There was something strange about the way their voices came through. Not quite human, not quite machine. He recorded the audio and ran it through different filters. That's when he noticed it. There was a second signal buried beneath the translation. A pattern, repeating every few seconds. Not speech. Data. He leaned closer, heart pounding. They weren't just talking. They were sending something else. Something hidden. Back in Geneva, the talks continued. The Xerac offered technology beyond anything humans had imagined. Ships that could travel faster than light. Medicine that could stop death itself. Cities that built themselves. All they asked in return was cooperation. One by one, some leaders agreed to consider the offer. Others refused outright. Tensions rose. Then, without warning, the tallest Xeric turned toward Lana. "You understand," it said. Everyone turned to look at her. I'm studying your language," she said, standing up slowly. "You see patterns," the alien said. "You hear what others miss." She swallowed hard. "I guess I do." The Xerac stepped closer. Its presence was overwhelming. Cold air seemed to follow it. "You will help us explain," it said. "Explain what?" she asked. "Why you must join us." Lana felt her stomach tighten. She wanted to say no, to walk out, but she also knew this might be the only chance to learn something real about these beings. She nodded slowly. "I'll try." Outside, the sun was setting. In the distance, the floating platform still hovered above Central Park, untouched by wind or time, and somewhere in space, more ships waited. Silent. Watching. Still. Not moving yet. The first shot was fired in Brazil. No one saw it coming. The Xerac had landed there earlier that day, offering their message of unity and evolution. But the Brazilian president refused to accept their terms. "We are not a prize to be won," she said on live television. "We will not be absorbed." Hours later, the Xerac ship still hovered above Rio de Janeiro. The sky shimmered with their presence. Then the attack began. Brazilian satellites launched at full power. Drones armed with EMP charges flew into the alien fleet. Old fighter jets, some nearly forgotten, took off from hidden bases. It lasted less than 10 minutes. The Xerac ships didn't even move fast. They just raised glowing shields, and everything that came near them turned to smoke. But something strange happened before the last satellite fell. It sent a signal, a burst of data, aimed straight at Colorado. Elliot caught it by accident. He was scanning for hidden messages when the burst hit his system. His screen flashed red, then green, then filled with numbers and symbols he didn't recognize. "What the hell?" he whispered. He started decoding, and what he found made his hands shake. The Xerac weren't invincible. Their shields had a pattern. A pulse every 47 seconds. A weak spot. Tiny but real. He called Lana. She answered after 2 rings. "I think I found something," Elliot said quickly. "Me too," she replied. In Geneva, things were falling apart. The Xerac kept talking about unification, but now more leaders were refusing. Some walked out. Others argued behind closed doors. Lana watched the aliens closely. She noticed they never looked surprised, never hesitated unless someone did something unexpected. She tested this idea. During a break in talks, she asked one of them a simple question. "What happens if we say no?" The Xerac stared at her. "That is not an option," it said. "But what if we do anyway?" She pressed. There was a pause. Then another Xerac stepped forward. "You would not survive resistance," it said. Lana smiled slightly. That was all she needed to hear. Back in Nevada, Derek got new orders. He was told to help guard a research site near Area 51. No details, just a time and place. He drove through the desert, tired and tense. When he arrived, he saw what they were guarding. An alien drone crashed, damaged, but still half alive. Lights blinked on its broken shell. Wires stuck out like veins. A scientist met him at the gate. "You're here to help protect this," the woman said. "Protect it from who?" Derek asked. "Everyone," she said. "Including us?" Inside, teams worked around the clock. They tried to understand how the drone worked, how it moved, how it communicated. Derek stood outside watching. He thought about what he'd seen in the news, about Brazil, about the Xerac's cold confidence. They believed Earth was easy. They believed humans would follow rules. But humans didn't always do that. Sometimes they fought back. In Colorado, Elliot finished the first part of the code. He sent it to a few trusted friends, hackers, engineers, scientists. They started working. Together they built something small, simple, a jammer, one that could disrupt the Xerac shield pattern for a split second, just enough time to strike. Lana returned to her room late that night. She opened her laptop and typed a message. Not to the UN, not to the Xerac, but to a small group of people she barely knew. Scientists, soldiers, hackers, thinkers. She wrote, "We have a chance. They don't expect us to fight smart. Let's prove them wrong." She hit send, and across the world, others began to respond. In Brazil, a soldier picked up a damaged drone piece from the battlefield. In Nevada, Derek studied the alien machine in front of him. In Colorado, Elliot stared at the blinking lights on his screen. Humanity wasn't ready for war, but maybe, just maybe, they were ready to surprise the galaxy. The world was changing fast. In the days after Brazil's failed attack, more countries started to move. Not with armies or weapons, not yet, but with ideas. Secret messages passed between scientists. Hackers shared stolen data. Soldiers trained for something they didn't fully understand. And everywhere, people watched the sky. The Xerac still hovered above Earth, calm and silent. But now, some humans were no longer watching in fear. They were watching for a chance. In Colorado, Elliot worked non-stop. He had cracked more of the Xerac signal. Hidden inside their broadcasts were patterns, rules. The aliens didn't just talk. They computed. Every action followed a logic so strict it was almost like code. He found something else too. A way to speak back, using the stolen Brazilian data and help from other hackers around the world. Elliot built a fake Xerac signal. It looked real. Sounded real. And most importantly, the alien systems responded to it. He sent it through an old satellite dish near Denver. It went out silently, aimed at one of the ships floating above Moscow. And then, something happened. The ship moved, not toward Earth, but away. It lifted higher, turned slowly, and vanished into space. No warning, no message, just gone. Back in Geneva, Lana saw the news on a small screen in her hotel room. She smiled. She knew what it meant. The Zirek weren't perfect. Their control wasn't total, and humans could trick them. That night she met with a few others in secret. Not diplomats, not soldiers, scientists, engineers, one former spy. They talked for hours, plans were made, tools were built, and somewhere in Russia, a team uploaded a virus into Zirek translation software. It wouldn't hurt them, but it would confuse them. In Nevada, Derek got another order. Move the drone, it said. He didn't ask questions. He just did it. With the help of 2 engineers, he loaded the damaged alien machine onto a flatbed truck. They drove through the desert under cover of night. Their destination, an abandoned military base in Utah. When they arrived, they found others already waiting, soldiers without units, civilians with tools, people who had been hiding waiting for this moment. One man stepped forward. "You ready to hit them back?" he asked. Derek looked at the broken drone. Then he nodded. "Let's see how tough they really are." Back in Colorado, Elliot finished his next project, an EMP jammer built from scrap parts and alien tech. Small, simple, deadly. He tested it on a captured drone part. 1 pulse, and the machine shut down completely. It worked. Outside, the sky stayed dark, but on the ground, humans were waking up. In Moscow, the virus hit. Zirek diplomats started speaking in broken sentences. Their messages looped. Some even repeated warnings that made no sense. Warning, unknown threat detected. Repeat, unknown threat detected. Confusion spread among the alien forces. They didn't know what was happening, because no one had ever done this before. In Brazil, a resistance group took over an old research lab. Inside, they found pieces of the destroyed satellites. They rebuilt one, then launched it, not as a weapon, but as a message. Across the world, people began to respond. Farmers in Kenya, teachers in Tokyo, engineers in Mexico City. They didn't all fight, but they all helped, and in the middle of it all, one thing became clear. Humans didn't follow rules. They didn't wait for orders. They didn't always work together, but when they did, they could do anything, even beat gods. Back in Geneva, Lana stood near a window and watched the city below. Lights blinked across the skyline. She thought about what she had seen, about what she had done. She opened her laptop again, typed a new message, sent it to everyone who had replied before. They think we're weak because we don't act like them, but that's our strength. We improvise, we adapt, and we never stop. She hit send, and across the globe, the human response grew stronger. Not loud, not fast, but steady, like fire spreading under dry grass waiting to burn. The first real hit came from the sky. A small satellite built from old parts and powered by stolen alien tech drifted silently toward one of the Zirek ships above London. No one saw it coming. It looked like space junk, harmless, forgotten. Then, it fired. Not a weapon, not fire, but sound. A high-frequency burst coded with the fake Zirek signal Elliot had made. The ship reacted instantly. Its shield flickered, just for a second. But that was enough. From the ground, hidden launchers opened. Missiles no bigger than car engines shot up, guided by hacked GPS systems and homemade targeting software. One hit the weak spot. The Zirek ship exploded in silence. No screams, no shock waves, just light. Then nothing. It fell from the sky like a dead star, and for the first time Earth had taken down an alien warship. Across the world, people watched the footage online. Some cheered, others cried, most just stared in shock. In Colorado, Elliot sat at his desk, staring at the screen. He didn't smile, he didn't celebrate, he just typed a message, "We did it once and we can do it again." Back in Nevada, Derek got the order. Hit them where they land. His team moved fast. They were no longer just guards or contractors. They were something else now, not quite soldiers, not quite rebels. They called themselves loose ends. They had no uniforms, no medals, just weapons they built themselves and plans drawn on napkins. Their first target, a Zirac landing craft near Las Vegas. They waited until nightfall. Then they struck. Using EMP jammers built from alien parts, they shut down the ship's sensors. Then they breached the hull with homemade explosives. Inside, the air was cold. The walls pulsed with blue light. They found what they were looking for in the cargo bay: weapons, alien tech. Data drives filled with unknown files. They took everything, and before the Zirac could respond, they vanished into the desert. In Moscow,
Lana's virus spread faster than she'd hoped. Zirac diplomats started to panic.
their machines glitched, their messages looped. Some even turned on each other. One ship refused to land after receiving corrupted orders. Another tried to leave orbit, but crashed into another vessel. Confusion ruled the alien ranks. Lana watched, from her hotel room typing another message. This one wasn't for hackers or scientists. It was for everyone. They think we're not smart enough to fight back. They think we'll follow their rules. But we don't need their rules. We make our own. She sent it through every channel she could find, and people listened. In Brazil, resistance fighters used the same jammer code to disable a patrol drone. In Kenya, a group of students hacked into a Zirac relay station and shut it down. In Tokyo, a TV engineer played a loop of fake Zirac broadcasts across the city. Fear turned into action, and action turned into hope. Back in Geneva, the last of the diplomatic talks ended. The Zirac stood tall, but their voices carried something new. Not anger, not fear, but confusion. "You are not logical," one said to Lana. "No," she replied, "we're not." She walked out of the building and into the cold night. The sky was full of alien ships, but now some of them were damaged, some were gone, and more would fall. In Utah, Derek's team worked through the night. They studied the alien weapons, took them apart, figured out how they worked. Then they rebuilt them with human hands. In Colorado, Elliot finished the next jammer model. Smaller, stronger, deadlier. He uploaded the design to a secure network. Within minutes, copies were being printed in basements, labs, and secret workshops all over the world. The humans weren't ready for war, but they were ready for a fight, and this time they wouldn't be the ones watching from below. They were rising, not with power, not with numbers, but with something the Zirac never expected. Cleverness, courage, and stubbornness, the kind that only humans have. And as the sun rose over Earth, one thing was clear. The galaxy had come to take control, but they hadn't counted on what Earth could do when it fought back. Together, without permission, without rules, without fear, the Zirac started to pull back, not all at once. Not in a way that made the world safe overnight, but they started to leave. Ships that had hovered above Earth for weeks began to rise higher into orbit. Some vanished without warning. Others sent strange messages before disappearing. Warning: unexpected variables detected. Reevaluation required. No further contact authorized. No one knew what it meant, but everyone noticed. In Colorado, Elliot stared at his screen as more ships went dark. He had expected them to fight harder, to strike back with their full power. Instead, they were leaving. He typed fast, pulling up old data. He cross-checked signals, tracking movement patterns. "They're scared," he whispered. He wasn't sure why he said it out loud, but deep down, he believed it. Back in Nevada, Derek got word from loose ends. One of their teams had taken down another landing craft near Phoenix. This time, they didn't just steal tech. They found something else. A storage unit filled with maps, plans, and something stranger. Files labeled Earth Assessment Inconclusive. Derek read the message twice. Inconclusive? He looked outside. The sky was still full of alien ships, but now some of them looked like they were waiting. For what? Orders? Answers? Maybe even help. In Moscow, Lana sat with a small team of scientists and diplomats. They had intercepted a final message from the Zirac command ship. It was short, and it made no sense. You do not follow known logic. You do not obey survival rules. We did not expect this kind of mind. Then silence. No more broadcasts, no more demands. Just quiet. Lana looked at the others. They don't understand us, she said. One of the scientists frowned. What do you mean? She pointed at the message. They thought we'd act like every other species they've met. Predictable, logical, easy to control. But we're not like that, the scientist said. No, she agreed. We're not. Outside, the city buzzed with news. Alien ships retreating. More resistance attacks across Europe and Asia. People weren't just fighting anymore. They were winning. Back in Geneva, the last Zirac diplomat stood alone in the empty meeting hall. Its glowing eyes blinked slowly. Behind it, a transport pod powered up. The Zirac turned toward the door. It didn't speak, didn't warn, didn't threaten. It simply left. And when its ship lifted off, no one tried to stop it. In Brazil, a group of engineers watched as a damaged Zirac vessel tried to take off from the jungle. Something was wrong. Its engines fired, but the ship wobbled. Then, instead of flying away, it exploded. No one claimed responsibility, but everyone knew. The humans had learned how to break them, how to stop them, how to make sure they never came back. In Utah, Derek walked through the remains of an old military base. Parts of alien machines lay scattered around him. Wires, broken screens, pieces of armor. His team had taken everything apart, learned how it worked, then built something new. Weapons that could hit faster, jammers that could reach farther, tech that wasn't just stolen. It was improved. Back in Diazincourt, Colorado, Elliot finished the next signal. This one wasn't for jamming or hacking. It was a message, sent on the same frequency the Zirac used. He typed, "You came here thinking we were weak. You thought we'd fall in line, but you were wrong." He pressed send, and somewhere in space, someone listened. In Geneva, Lana stepped outside. The sky was changing. Fewer ships, more stars. She looked up and smiled. The aliens hadn't won. They hadn't taken over. They hadn't even understood what they were facing, because humans didn't play by the rules. They broke them again and again until the enemy ran. And now the galaxy knew Earth was not easy prey, and the next ones who came looking would do well to remember that. The sky was clearer now, not empty, not yet, but lighter. The great alien ships that had once hovered above every major city were gone. Some vanished into space. Others crashed into the sea or the land below. And Earth? Earth was still standing. People celebrated in the streets. Flags waved, lights blinked. Music played loud and proud, but not everyone danced. Some watched the sky, still waiting, still listening. In Geneva, Lana stood outside the old UN building. She wore a light coat and held a small notebook. Inside were notes she might never use, words she might never speak. She looked up. One ship remained in orbit. It hadn't moved in days. "Why are you still here?" she whispered. No answer came. Back in Colorado, Elliot sat at his desk, surrounded by broken screens and blinking lights. He had done what he could. His signal had been sent. The Zirac had heard it. They had run. Now he wasn't sure what came next. He stared at a new message on his screen, from an unknown source. "We saw what you did. We are watching." Elliot leaned back. He didn't feel scared. He felt ready. In Nevada, Derek walked through the remains of a battlefield. Burned metal. Scorch marks on the ground. Broken alien tech. His team had won. But they had also lost. 2 of them didn't make it. He remembered their names. He would always remember. Nearby, some soldiers loaded parts into trucks. "What do we do now?" one asked him. Derek looked at the sky. "We get ready," he said. "Someone else might come." Moscow had changed. Before the invasion, it was just another city. Now, it was a center for something new, a place where humans studied alien tech, where scientists worked to understand what had almost destroyed them. Lana arrived there a week after the last Zirek ship left orbit. She met with a group of leaders, not politicians, scientists, engineers, soldiers who had fought and lived. They sat around a table, and they talked about what came next. "I think we should reach out," Lana said. "To who?" someone asked. "To anyone else out there." There was silence. Then a man spoke. "You think they'll be friendly?" "No," she said. "But we should let them know we're here, and we're not afraid." Back in Colorado, Elliot finished decoding more data from the Zirek systems. He found something strange. Records. Old messages. The Zirek weren't the first to visit Earth. Others had passed by before. But none stayed. None landed. Because someone had warned them long ago. Do not interfere with this world. They do not follow rules. They do not obey logic. Elliot read those lines again and again. Someone had known about humans and told others to stay away. But now, that warning had faded. The galaxy had heard what happened, and some were curious. In Brazil, the president gave a speech. "We survived," she said. "Not because we were strong, not because we had better weapons." She paused. "We survived because we fought back, together, without permission, without fear." Across the world, people listened and they understood. This wasn't just a win, it was a message to anyone who might come next. In Utah, Derek stood near a fire with his team. They drank coffee, talked about home, about what they'd seen. One of them asked him a question. "Do you think we're safe now?" Derek looked at the stars. "No," he said, "but we're ready." Back in Moscow, Lana helped write a new plan. Not for war, for peace, but not the kind the Zirek offered. This was different. Human peace, built on strength, on choice, on freedom. She wrote, "Earth is not open for business. We will talk, we will learn, but we will not be ruled." She hit send. And across the stars, someone listened. Again and again, until the message reached far beyond the solar system, to places no human had ever seen. But maybe one day would go. Years passed. The sky changed again, not with alien ships, but with human ones. Small at first. Probes built from old tech and new ideas. Then bigger things came, satellites that could reach far beyond Mars. Ships designed not just to defend Earth, but to explore what lay beyond. Humanity had been attacked. They had fought back. And now, they were ready to meet the galaxy on their own terms. In Geneva, Lana stood on a balcony overlooking the city. The world looked different now. Cleaner, stronger. She wore a new uniform, not military, not political. Something new. Diplomat, explorer, speaker for Earth. She had helped write the message sent into space after the war. Now, someone had answered. Not the Zirek, someone else, a species called the Virellen. They lived far away, had never met humans before, but they had heard what happened. Earth resists, their message said. "We are curious." Lana smiled. That was all she needed. Back in Colorado, Elliot worked in a new lab built inside an old university building. He no longer worked alone. Scientists from around the world came to help him. They studied alien tech, built better tools, learned how to speak to other minds. He still checked the sky every night, still listened for voices from space. One day he found one. It wasn't a threat, it was a question. "How did you defeat the Zirek?" Elliot typed his answer slowly. "They thought we would follow rules. They thought we would be easy. But humans don't do what others expect." He pressed send and waited. In Nevada, Derek walked through a training camp built near the old Loose Ends base. Soldiers trained there now, not just from the US, but from many countries. They didn't train for war. They trained for contact to protect Earth, to talk when needed, to fight only if forced. Derek watched a group of young recruits test a new drone. It looked like the ones the Zirac used, but it flew faster, smarter, better. One of the recruits turned to him. "You think they'll come back?" he asked. Derek shook his head. "No," he said. "But if they do, we'll be ready." Moscow had become the center of Earth's new space program, not just for weapons or defense, for learning. Scientists worked together to understand the messages, coming in from deep space. Some were friendly, some were warnings, most were questions. "What are you? Where do you come from? Why did you fight the Zirac?" Lana traveled there often. She helped build something new, a council, not ruled by any one nation, run by people who believed Earth should speak as one voice, but with many hearts. She sat in meetings, gave speeches, but her favorite moments were the quiet ones, when she read messages from other worlds, when she realized Earth was no longer alone, not because aliens had come to take over, but because humans had made themselves known. In Brazil, the president opened a new research center, built underground, filled with alien tech, studied by young minds. Students learned how to use what was left behind, not just for war, but for peace. One student asked her a question. "Do you think we're safe now?" She looked at the stars outside. "No," she said, "but we're strong enough to make our own choices." Back in Colorado, Elliot got a reply. From the Viralan, they wanted to meet, not with weapons, not with threats, with talk. He called Lana. She answered quickly. "They want to see us," he said. "I know," she replied. "I already said yes." Outside the sky was full of stars, and now some of them felt closer, like they were waiting, ready to welcome Earth. Not as a conquered world, not as a danger, but as something new. A planet that didn't play by the rules. A planet that surprised. Even the stars, and across the world people whispered. They came with confidence. We gave them silence. And now, we go forward. The silence stayed. Not the kind that came before war, but the kind that came after it. Earth had won, but not by strength alone. By will, by cleverness, by doing what no one else expected. Across the stars, the Zirac were gone. No ships returned. No messages came. Just silence. And across the galaxy, that silence meant something. They had met a world that did not fall, a species that fought back with tools they built themselves, that used old weapons, broken machines, and minds that never stopped thinking. In Geneva, a small plaque was placed outside a new building. It read, "To the invaders who thought us weak, you came with confidence. You left in silence." Lana stood beside it on a cold morning. She looked up at the sky, empty now, for the first time in years. Back in Colorado, Elliot sat at his desk. He stared at his screen. A message blinked there, from deep space. Short, simple. "We have heard of you." He smiled, then typed his reply. "We are still here." In Nevada, Derek walked through an old training field. The wind blew hard. Sand kicked up around his boots. Nearby, young soldiers practiced with new gear, built from alien tech but made by human hands. One of them turned to him. "Do you think we'll ever see them again?" Derek didn't answer right away. Then he said, "They might come back." He paused. "But if they do, they'll know what to expect." Moscow had changed. Once a place for secrets, now a place for knowledge. Scientists worked every day to understand the universe better, and they found something strange. Other worlds watched Earth now. Some feared it, some respected it. Most just wanted to know, what is this planet? Why did the Zirac fail, and can we talk to them? Lana traveled there often. She helped write messages, peaceful ones, open ones. We are humans. We are not perfect, but we are strong. She sent them into space and waited. In Brazil, the president gave another speech, this time not about war, about choice. We are not gods, she said. We are not monsters. We are people, and we decide our own fate. People cheered, children waved flags, and somewhere above, someone listened. In Utah, Derek met with old friends. Loose ends had grown, no longer just fighters, now explorers, engineers, pilots, ready to go where no human had gone before. One of them asked him, "What now?" He looked at the stars. "We go out, not to conquer, not to fight, but to meet, to learn, to show the galaxy who humans really were." Back in Colorado, Elliot got a signal, not from the Zirac, from someone new, the Virilan. They were ready to meet. Face to face. Elliot called Lana. She answered fast. "They're coming," he said. "I know," she replied. "I've been waiting." Outside, the night was clear. Stars blinked like eyes watching, waiting, listening, and far away, in the dark between planets, more voices whispered. Earth had spoken, Earth had fought, Earth had survived. And now, Earth was ready to walk among the stars, not as subjects, not as threats, but as humans, unpredictable, unstoppable, free. And across the galaxy, a message spread. It came from many places, from old records, from stolen signals, from war reports. It said, "Earth resists. Proceed with caution." And those who read it knew. This world was different. This species was dangerous, not because they had power, but because they never gave up, and never would.